I'm just weak on the recruiting and closing sales for the individual clients. And I don't know if I'm in the wrong space or just how to recruit better.
Okay.
Um, but yeah.
Okay, awesome. So we have a recruiting side on you. We have and recruiting and closing, which are kind of like on either sides of what Mr. Haynes is interested in. So we got recruiting, we've got the sales component, we've got the closing component. Great. Let's see, Beth Ann, do you want to share? Like again, I know Beth, but not so many people do. You're still kind of at that launch stage, but what would be the most important thing for you to walk out of this conversation with?
I think the same recruitment
Okay.
and how to price something
Okay.
to be a good fit for to be able to close the client.
Okay. Okay. Still on that closing side, but this way it's kind of again a little bit like with Angel was talking about a little bit about like how to imagine what you do, how to put a price point behind it so someone can actually buy your expertise. Very good. David, what would be beneficial for you to walk out of this conversation with?
Well, first, this is not the first time I had the pleasure hearing your product and
Thank you.
yourself, so that I enjoy. And second, see, maybe possibly become a coach.
Okay. Okay. So this is basically like, does this make sense for me to do at this point?
Right. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. And Avi, a dear friend of mine, tell us what would make this very valuable for you. Besides, I just get to hang out with you, which is fun for me.
Yeah, for me, it's just a constant reminders of the prospecting piece. So again, just
Cool.
again, thankfully, Jacob, you've helped me tremendously with my business. But I
Thank
always
you.
need constant encouragement just to keep growing. So
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to share. I prepared a few slides just so I can keep my ADD brain like moving forward. I'm going to run through those quickly, give you a little bit of framework, and then we can sort of jump into. Was anyone here at my webinar last month out of curiosity? Or no? No? Great. Perfect. I'll run through this. I will kind of dive into as much as I can, and if I don't specifically answer all the questions we have at the offset of our call, then we will jump to that at the end. Just also want to introduce John Daniels. He's puts all these webinars together for me, and I appreciate you being here and taking the time. Okay, we are going to share screen. Give me a second. Here we go, and we're going to rock and roll. Sweet. Okay. Okay, so again, I would assume, and I just want to make sure I'm in alignment with most of you guys. 20K a month is what again. I know that Angel and Beth Ann are at the launching stage. Mr. Haynes, Marcus, is 20K a month is that a goal that's interesting for you? Do we want to I just want to speak to the level of where we are. For some people just getting started, 20,000 a month is an insane amount of money. No one's doing it. For people that have been in the game for a while, 20K a month is like, ho hum, I can do that in my sleep. How do we get to 80 to 100K a month? But where are you holding?
I'll go first.
Thank you.
I'm about 7, 8K on average. Like my
Okay.
January was over 35 in contracts.
Nice. Okay. If anyone wants to know how he did that, you could probably text him. You know, maybe he'll share a secret. It's great. So for you, getting consistent 20K a month is still is an exciting goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Marcus, where are you? If you're comfortable sharing, is this like where ideally where you'd like to be also, or you'd like to be somewhere else?
Yeah, 20 would be great for me.
Okay.
I'm a little bit less than that right now. However, I think the weak piece that I struggle with, as Beth Ann said, is the pricing comes into that recruiting and closing the sales and all that. But if I could figure that out, I think I could scale from where I am
Yep.
and possibly add another 20. So that'd be great for me.
Okay, so you're en route to 40. So we're gonna push it. See, guys, this is why you got to ask the questions to make sure that everyone's going in the same direction. Okay, excellent. Just very quickly for those that who do not know me yet, my background is not in business. I actually, like Marcus, was in pastoral work, if you want to call it. I was a rabbi before. I did nonprofit work my whole life. I hated asking for money. I couldn't do it. I was terrified. I might look like I could do it. People thought I was charismatic, but it was very, very difficult for me. That left me $50,000 or more in debt. I have 4 kids. Trying to put them through private Jewish schools in LA was not simple, or by not simple, I meant impossible. Totally stressed out and stuck. So when I'm the way that I want to look at this, and this is just kind of very important for us to launch this conversation, I'm looking for stuff that's going to work quickly. I've spoken at length to Beth Ann and quite a few of you about this concept. It's like there's a million things that can work. The question is like, what's your time horizon and what's your ideal outcome, right? If you have a million years and no needs to make money immediately, okay, so we'll have a potentially different strategy. But everything I'm going to say, it's like let's cut the fluff and actually look at what's going to actually deliver, like the put the money in the account. A lot of people have issues with that because there's a whole industry that's been built on getting you ready to get ready, giving you a niche, giving you a marketing plan, buy the Facebook ads, do this thing, cold DMs. Like I think for any of us that have been in the business for quite a while, you know that there is a ton out there. 9 times out of 10, and I only say this with love and respect to anyone that's doing it, I've made a million mistakes in hiring, and it's very, very like, imagine talking to all of your ideal clients all the time, and all you have to do is hire us, and we're going to fill your calendar. I mean, I don't know how many people, I know that Marcus had that exact experience also. People make all these awesome promises. At the end, maybe you get 2 people on your calendar, which are completely unqualified. You're now $10, $20, $30,000 in debt, and it's been 6 months, and then you have this awkward conversation. Hey, I'd love my money back, or I'd love to stop servicing, and then they explain to you why it's your fault, and you didn't do it, and I don't know, is there anyone that had somewhat of a similar experience in this process? And if not, lucky you, and I'm jealous. But anyway, that what's that? Do you want to share their experience with that? No? Okay. Anyway, if you, I did it. I personally have burned through about, I would say, close to $250,000 on these types of things. So when I say I need something that works, and I've done all the stupid things that don't work, I'm not just randomly like throwing shade in any direction. I just know that for the people I want to talk to, I want to work with, it's got to work. It's got to work exactly like it says, and it has to work quickly. Otherwise, we fall apart. And ultimately, again, coaching is energetic work. So if you're feeling stressed out and bothered by the fact that it's not working, it will actually impact, going back to what Mr. Haynes said and Marcus said and Beth Ann said, if you're in this place where like you're not getting results, how you close, again, you know, like if you're in a good place and you have a lot of confidence it's going to work, your closing rate goes up, even if you don't have all of the right answers and all the proper objection handling. And on the flip side, if you're like, oh my God, if I don't close this person, my kids won't have food next week, and I got to go back and get a 9-to-5 working at, whatever it is, IKEA, or nothing wrong with IKEA, but, start being a greeter at Walmart. Like, you're not going to show up in that powerful place that you're going to want in order to really draw those clients in, even if what you're saying is technically perfect. So my whole point was, even if it sounds like I'm very, I don't say money focused, it's not because any other reason than if you're making money, it's going to enable you to do the meaningful work and do it longer and do it better than if you aren't and kind of running around and chasing your tail. I hope, Marcus, that I sort of like summarize your experience as well, because I think that we both had that, and you're like, oh yeah, you're right. Maybe I could have just closed those 2 completely unqualified clients better. I'm sorry. Actually, Marcus got nobody. I don't think you got a big 0, right? Something like that.
Yeah, 0. If you haven't hired a coach yet, be very, very careful out there. There's a trust recession for a reason. And I haven't wasted as much as Jacob has, but I have wasted a good bit of money. And they say we will bring you 20 qualified leads, and I even clarified. Now, when you say qualified, here's the way I define that. They're looking for a coach. They're looking for a coach like me. They're considering me. They vetted me. Now send them to me and I'll close them.
Right.
And they said, yes, that's exactly what we mean. They did not bring me this particular one. Another one that I hired simply took over my LinkedIn Navigator and did the search for leaders that are in my niche, and that didn't work. And so it's very difficult out there. So it's good to find somebody that feels trustworthy like yourself, Jacob.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So again, the reason why I just want to stress that if you feel that there's a pressure to like cut out the nonsense and just go for it, it's only because of that. Because I know that again, even if you have the money to burn, which I don't know anyone that has money to burn, even if you have the money to burn, just like the personal cost and toll that it takes on you, having this experience is really, really rough. And oftentimes, if it looks too good to be true, it is, which is why the idea of just finding like lots of people with tons of money that would love to talk to you all the time and it's so easy, like that very rarely works. And if it works, and this is the big thing, you've already nailed all the fundamentals of what we're going to cover in this webinar, right? The people for whom they are getting these kinds of leads, it's probably because they're spending hundreds of thousands. I've literally worked with these people and I know them and they're great. They're literally spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on online marketing. They've got their sales system dialed in. They've got a ton of experience. So just getting to 20K a month is a walk in the park for these people. Getting to 80 to 90K a month is a walk in the park for these people. Those are people for whom these marketing systems actually do work for, because again, they could run $100,000 a month loss for a few months at a time before they actually dial it in. So that's kind of the question. But again, for the newer, again, folks that have been in the business for not a very long time, you get really sucked into a lot of these like marketing schemes. That wasn't even part of the presentation, but I wanted to just talk about that and just sort of like explain why I'm very focused on the methodology that I am. Not that the other things don't work. It's just how much time and how much money do you have to make mistakes. That's kind of the idea. So for me, I did not have time for that at all. I did not have any money I could really spend. I had to figure out what were the things that were going to work to actually build the business as quickly as I did. And that's where, again, not that numbers matter, but I was able to go pretty quickly to about 50, 60K a month within the first year or two of actually like dialing this process in. And then after that, again, this was not me teaching other people how to build coaching businesses, which also kind of bothers me because I feel like you have to be good at one thing first before you can teach people how to do that. I actually had a client that hired a guy who got him through LinkedIn marketing, and he was working completely in his warm market. So I'm like, congratulations, you hired a guy who got you, but this guy doesn't know how to help you do the thing that you're actually doing, right? And then because the nature of, he was working with family offices are not hiring a random stranger off of LinkedIn. It just doesn't work. And so that was kind of the discrepancy between what he was hiring and what worked for him versus what would actually work for his clients. Okay, we're going to go forward. Okay, there we go. Awesome. The big framework is that in order to get to 20, or in Marcus's case, 40K a month, and again, it's not that crazy, not that difference, is that you have to be willing to do both things, do meaningful work and make real money. It's not going to come down to your website, your audience, your social media, or your funnels. Hopefully I've belabored that. Is there anyone here that has like a crazy, let's say 300,000 plus like following on social media? If so, there might be a different framework of what we would suggest. I've had quite a few clients I have worked with that already have that. But if those of you who I'm talking to now don't have that, I don't even know how to put my stupid hand down. Now, lower hand, thank you. Then this will not work for you. And I would actually say it's a detriment. It actually takes you out of the game, spending time on social media, doing all these postings. You're not going to be consistent enough. You're not going to put out content fast enough. And ultimately, you're not going to know what content is ultimately going to move the needle well enough in order for you to do that as an efficient channel. Hopefully that makes sense. And again, there are certain people that can do it. I'm not speaking to those that are, I'm just assuming we're like normal people that just want to go out there and make money. Funnels also, I don't necessarily recommend. Let's talk about what's going to work. Okay. You need a phone and a laptop. You need actual expertise. You do need a network, and you need an open mind. That's the framework of what I'm suggesting. Now, for people like Mr. Haynes, like Marcus, like Beth Ann, the other thing that I'd like is to put some constraints around what we're trying to do. Okay. I had a gentleman, he came to me, he was making $23,000 a month, which was great. I said, what do you need help with? What about what I've put out there is intriguing for you if you already are making that kind of money? And basically he was working essentially 80 hours a week to make that 20K. That was the problem. He had so stretched out. He was making so many offers. He was working so many hours per client that while he did have the cash flow that he was happy with, he did do meaningful work because he loved helping these businesses that he was helping. At the end of the day, he built something that was unsustainable. He didn't have that component of freedom that he was looking for because he had basically just bought himself a very full-time job. So the idea is to put constraints around. This is going to go to Angel's question, Beth Ann's question, potentially Marcus's question, is put the constraints around the business that's going to create the clarity that you want. Meaning, let's say I'm going to work 10 hours a week. I'll work 20 hours a week. I want to make 20K a month, right? So if I want to make 20K a month, I want to work 10 hours a week. And again, I put the numbers at the bottom. You want to spend, there was a great guy, I'm sure anyone in this field knows who he is. His name is Rich Litvin probably. He wrote a book called The Prosperous Coach. He and his coach, Steve Chandler. Again, I love them. I have endless amounts of respect for them. and I used to say it, but then he actually said it, so I feel much more comfortable quoting him about what he said. He said, I always said, his framework is a lot of the stuff is actually really good that I integrated in my business, because the secret of anyone who's good is just you copy people that are doing the things that you want and just doing it for yourself. So he talks about this beautiful sales process where you speak slowly, you get to know what they need, you give them a powerful experience, they're going to want more. Like, all of that feels great. It's not pitchy, it's not difficult, whatever it might be. Steve Chandler, if you've ever heard him talks about one word a sec. Get right? Oh yeah, it's like it's the slowest game ever. And having worked alongside of a lot of people that were trained by Rich is amazing at deep coaching in the actual game of coaching. But I'm like, it takes forever to make money according to his approach. And he actually was on a podcast and he said, my expectation, again, people that work with him are going to pay about $20,000 to $30,000 in to engage at the low end. And then there's plenty of people that spend more. And he says the expectation of my coaches is they won't start making money until year 4. Okay, that's what he actually said himself. Now, for me, that's awesome. Like, I love the idea that, but I do not want to wait 4 years before I start making money. Like, I got kids to feed, so to speak, and it's actually true, I do. Right? So the idea would be, how do we actually get the business off the ground, but get it off the ground quickly? So that's why I love putting parameters around the work that I'm doing. So number one, it's like, so Rich Litvin said, sorry, I was teaching 2 things from him. One thing is, he says that you have to love getting clients as much as you love serving clients. Because what most of us do, because none of us jumped in because we love, I just want to build a business, we're just business people, we love the actual transformational work, right? So if I could get 3 clients, I get to help them, that's amazing. Then what inevitably happens is, if you aren't keeping your eye on the ball, you will work with those clients, you'll get them great results, but it might be they might jump off. They might be done working with you. They might have already gotten the breakthrough, and then you're back to zero. I actually, in the early stage of my business, had a very similar thing happen. I had 2 really, really good clients. I loved the work. And then when they finished the engagement and didn't renew, my business disappeared. So one of the things that I, at that point, have to tell people and always want to keep in mind is, always plan on spending as much time as you want to help clients on bringing in new clients. Even if you have a wait list, it's a great problem to have if I have not enough capacity to help people. Come call me when that happens to you. I'll tell you exactly what to do. But point is, let's say you want to make 20 grand a month. You want to work 10 hours a week, which means really you want to work 5 hours of deliverable client time and 5 hours of business building. I'm terrible at math. Hopefully that was easy for you guys to follow. If not, I can clarify where I'm coming with. Does that make sense what I'm suggesting? So how does the math work? Beth Ann, Angel, like, how does the math work? I need to get if I'm working 5 hours, I want to make 20 grand. My price point is $4,000 per engagement. So it's $4,000 a month per client. I have 5 of those. I'm at 20 grand a month. I'm working 5 hours and I'm building my business for 5. Hopefully that was not too, I think that's as much of the numbers that we'll talk about in our conversation, but that's essentially how you create that price point or that desired engagement. Does anyone have any questions on that? I want to actually go deep into questions later, but that's kind of how we arrive at price points. Is you basically want to build the business that you want, right? That idea of build it and they will come. The more that you build it to resemble the kind of lifestyle and the type of business that you want, that's where you're going to start to figure out the price points of the services you have to offer. Does anyone have any questions on that? Because that's relatively counterintuitive. Yes, ma'am.
How do you build out from the numbers, which makes complete sense? How do you build out from the numbers what you're delivering?
Awesome. Okay, that might be the next slide. And if it's not the next slide, I will get to that at the end. But essentially, what we're looking for is outcome over process. Outcome over process, meaning what you need to do. And again, I like to say that people should get a 10x, return on investment. ROI, a 10x return on investment. You can do 100x even better, right? But if someone's going to spend $4,000 a month with you, so let's say they spend it and you do a 3-month package, so it's $12K total, what would be something that's $120,000 worth of value to them? That's how I think about it. Now, again, if you are I come from the nonprofit world. I love the nonprofit world. I love helping people. I had an amazing personal trainer who spent, I think it was in the neighborhood of 18 to 20 years in like the worst prisons in Mexico and the U.S. and has a real passion for helping people come out, get their lives back together, and get out to work. Right now, again, helping prisoners transition out from helping people come out of jail and that's the most meaningful work in the world. It's an incredibly valuable thing. If you're going to be trying to monetize them to pay you, it's probably a terrible business idea because they probably don't have a lot of money. Make sense? Now, we were talking, we restructured, and he got a lot of government money. But again, that's not really what we're talking about. But if you're picking a population of people for whom they don't have a lot of money, those probably aren't the right types of people if you'd be charging those high ticket prices. But the way I would think about it is, what's something that's worth $120,000 or more to the ideal clients for whom I'm going to be charging at that price point? Does that make sense, Beth Ann? And so rather than, it's not a process, you're not selling, so therefore I created an ebook and I've created an outline and therefore I created this. No, it's like, what's that thing that's so valuable? And then again, I found, having worked in executive coaching, and I'm sure Marcus will back me up on this. I hope I didn't even ask him in advance. But usually if you're working with highly resourceful, intelligent, smart people, they actually know how to get what they need better and faster than you do. They do have a lot of self-awareness. They have a lot of problem awareness. They tried a lot of stuff. Therefore, it's not even that hard to get them to the goals they want once you provide enough structure, accountability, and appropriate question asking. Has that been your experience also working with leaders, Marcus? Like, that most people you work with who are winners are going to be easy to get good results for because they've been used to winning. I hope. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Not sure. We'll figure it out. Keep going. All right. Great. Okay. Here's the framework that I use that I believe cuts out more or less all of it. So for those of you that want to find more people, you want to, again, from my perspective, everything happens within a network you already have. It's unsexy, it's boring, and it brings up all of our fears of rejection of, I've already talked to those people, no one I know has any money, everybody hates me, I want to crawl under a rock. All of those bad feelings inside of us that we have when it comes to talking to people we actually know. Again, just to say, that's why the online marketers are so successful, is they essentially promise, I'm going to put you in front of strangers that don't care if you fail, strangers that won't hurt if they say no. I'm going to get you in front of people you don't. That is never the first step to building a business, because the one thing you don't have with strangers is is trust. You don't have trust with strangers. You're just a random person on the internet. Right? And again, there's tons of great people on the internet. There's tons of snake oil salesmen on the internet. And you don't know which one you are. And you're just one of many. Right? So the idea that I would love for you to think about is working within your network. That's either people you already know or people that know you that can put you in touch with the kind of people that you want to know. Right? And again, I know this seems simplistic, but this is literally the jump that I use so that you don't have to spend all of this time trying to build credibility, trust, any of that stuff with strangers. That's always a lot harder to do. Does that make sense? Does anyone want me to go into that? Because I know that that's for a lot of people a huge pain point, because no one wants to talk to anyone they might have to see again. But the awkward thing is, that's probably where all of your clients are going to be, because again, I don't know, for those of us that are dating, single, married, whatever it might be, think about it. Do you date, it might be easier to go talk to a complete stranger. She laughs at you and you turn around, like, that's great. But you're probably not going to make a deep, meaningful relationship with someone that's a complete stranger. It's going to take time to get to know you. Sometimes the best and most effective ways to actually build out like meaningful relationships are people that actually know you, know you're a person of repute, know you're a person that's been successful. Again, you meet people where there's like common interests. Oh, I see that you have showed up relentlessly at the gym every single day for the past 6 months. Your physique looks like you care about yourself. Again, I'm not saying pick up people at the gym, but the more that you connect with people within your network or at your church or at your synagogue or at a business, like all of these things, we're building trust. Or again, were you a teacher for the kid? I have a client that's crushing it, and he was basically like running a couple of kids' schools. And so everyone knew, okay, I never knew that I could hire him to coach my kid, but like I knew that he's done amazing work. He's an honest person. I know he's got a family man. Like all of these things stack up credibility so that it makes a lot of sense that you are able to eventually hire at a higher ticket. So that's the first framework, right? The second thing that I think is absolutely crucial. Am I talking too fast? Can you guys want me to go faster or slower? With the smaller crowds of like more advanced people, I usually just like try to pack as much in. So forgive me if I'm going fast, I can slow it down. Okay, I didn't even ask permission, but here we go. The biggest challenge is that if you are focusing on content or talking, you are very rarely going to actually get people who will give you money. Why? Because people, when they're talking to you, they will pay you. So really what you want to do is create the smallest interface where, again, AI ran some kind of crazy thing where they analyzed the best salespeople in the world, and they said it was about a 90-10 ratio. 90% listening, 10% talking. Shocking. So you could have the best sales pitch in the world, you could have the best copier in the world, you could have the best website in the world, that's all you talking. That's literally 10% of the sales process. The only thing you really need is to get people talking to you, because that's what's ultimately going to open them up either to tell you the kinds of people they can refer you to or the type of support that they need in order to really help them. And again, Beth Ann was thinking about what's a $120,000 problem that we can solve. Well, the answer is you got to find out from people, well, what is worth $120,000 for you? If we could close 3 clients for you, would that be worth one? Oh, yes? Awesome. Then for sure it makes sense to justify the $4K a month price point. If they're like, God, I don't know, there's nothing that's worth 120 grand to us, they're probably not the good fit. You wouldn't even probably take that down to making an offer to them because they're for sure already disqualified themselves from being a client, right? So again, I can't stress enough, having done this for myself and hundreds of people this time, that I would say probably 8 to 9 times out of 10, your best clients are either know you already or know someone that knows you. By the time you're going to get to scale, big numbers, finding big people, all that stuff, trust me, that's no one in this room where you really should have a strategy of I'm just going to talk to strangers. Hopefully that didn't break anybody's brain open, but what it might have done is bring up a lot of insecurity because it's oh my God, I don't want to talk to people that know me. I don't want to make eye contact with people at work after I talked about how I can help them. Those are all mindset things that definitely need to be worked through, but that doesn't take away from the truth of that reality in the business as someone that's done that and it's worked and it works all the time. Any question about that? That's phase 1, the concept of reaching out. Again, this is not putting out cool stuff and helping people reach out to you. It's reaching out to them. You'll oftentimes find, and this is a crazy thing. This is actually, I've done this. You guys have probably done this. And for sure, if you have been in business for any period of time, this has happened to prospects of yours. You will do a lot of lifting, making people aware of the problem, aware of the solution, agitating the pain, right? You might have put out a whole workbook on how to solve a particular problem. And you would have prospects that listened to it, went through it, fell in love with you. As a result, fell in love with the fact that this is an achievable problem, fell in love with the fact that I can solve this. And then they didn't give you any money. Why? Because they gave money to the person that followed up afterwards and said, hey, would you want to work with me? So you basically got them ready to get the results, and then the person that actually talked to them actually took them as a client. That, again, if that hasn't happened to you yet, it just you haven't been in business long enough, right? But inevitably, putting out content without actually having those conversations, without actually getting those people to talk back to you, without you getting the opportunity to listen deeply, the money will go to the person that does. Even if you stacked up all the value, I've had multiple, again, most everything I talk to you about is only just stuff I've screwed up on. That's why, again, I really have strong opinions about it. But I can't tell you how many people I've done all of the work. I've made it possible to build a business. I've talked about the mindset, the strategy, the stuff I'm telling you, I'm not holding back. This is the real deal stuff that actually works. But then someone else came and said, hey, do you want to build a business? Someone that wasn't part of me or my company or my affiliated with. And they're like, oh my God, I've been listening to Rupp stuff for years. Oh my God, I can totally do it. And then they hire that person. I'm great. So again, that might be again, anyone's going to offer me CRM coaching. I thank God John's helped me a lot with that, getting all those things together, remember who I talked to. But the reality is that happens all of the time. And so if you don't have the ability to reach out and for you to preempt that and for you to be able to listen deeply to them, right? Inevitably, you could do all the best work in the world and someone else is going to take that client. And the real downside of that is they're probably not going to be as good as you. True story. I literally have a guy I'm talking to. I'm going to send him the recording of this, and he knows who I'm talking about. Where again, he was like, I'm ready to work with Rupp, Then he saw someone else's ad on the internet. He's like, Rupp says this is so doable. And this guy, he's cheaper. And let's hire that guy. Again, bottom line is the guy used all of the available capital he had, got no results. And now we're having a conversation. It's been about 7 years. You know who I'm talking about, right? It's been 7 years. Literally the guy's business is still flatlined. Crazy. It's awful. And I feel terrible because it was my ball that I dropped. But this other guy was smart enough. He just reached out and got the money. For a longer list of my failures, just stay on after the webinar and I'll go through. I'm just kidding. Okay. Finally, the last thing is you got to be willing to ask for the sale. You got to be willing to sell the outcome, not the sessions, and be ready to, most of us who are on the newer end of coaching will massively overcoach, massively give away volume for free. And as a result, they will get non-perfect outcomes. They'll see a lot of your best stuff, and then they'll kind of peter out and get annoyed and like it won't actually go. Right? You want to have a very clear system around which you're going to give great value and then basically say, hey, do you want this or not? Are you ready to have the outcome that you're looking for or not? The longer that you coach kind of for free or give lots of value without getting that commitment, the more you downgrade the value of your service, the harder it is for them to get results. And ultimately, the better the chances they're actually going to give up and not hire you. I don't know if anyone's ever had that experience before. If you haven't, it's just a matter of time, right? Really, if you think about it, the faster you get a person to be focused on where they want to go, make that commitment, have them make that financial commitment, that's where the results are ultimately going to get. I have literally never had this happen in my life where I've given something to someone for free and them gotten results at all. Right? So the more that you give away for free, the more you actually see it's going to be less and less successful. The more that you can just create that emotional desire for people, oh, I can do this, and then be able to ask for the sale and get them to make that financial commitment, they're going to stick and they're actually going to do the work. Is there anyone that's been coaching that can, that should be evident, right? Yeah. Okay, good. Awesome. Really, this is where most people fail. They have a fear of rejection. They have a fear of asking for money. They haven't worked out their own money story. They have a fear of success, or they have their own limiting beliefs. This person can't afford it. I'll tell you one very quick story. Again, this is a story based on things I did wrong, and I learned and adapted. I'll do the next webinar is all the things I did right, I guess. But I had a client. I was working with him. He was a good friend of mine. It was very early in my business. I was only charging him $1,500 a month. And I needed to raise. I've been working with them for a while. And I said, hey, I just got to, again, this is not how you raise your prices, but I did it because, whatever. And I was going to go up to $1,750. This guy freaked out. Him and his wife get on the phone. Jacob, how could you do this? This is too bad. I can't believe you're doing it. It's $250, right? A month extra. It's whatever, this, that, the other thing. I thought we were friends. Don't you have a heart? How can we do this? Every sad story in the book. Anyway, I said, okay, cool. I introduced them to a coach of mine. On that call, she closed him $20,000 engagement. The people that couldn't afford $250, when they had a person that came without that same limiting belief system and just said, hey, this is the outcome, it's gonna be $20,000. The wife called her uncle or something like that, got a $20,000 loan, paid the lady on the spot. Boom. Right? So the reframe is that it's all our own limiting beliefs. We buy our client's limitation, we buy our own limitation. Gosh, maybe I am not worth $1,750 if I'm only worth $1,500. Oh God, maybe this person really can't afford it. The reality is people afford the things that they want, or they were never going to afford it in the first place.
I don't see how did that go from, they wouldn't give you an extra I get it, but they wouldn't give you an extra $250 a month. But then you brought in one of your coaches or something to talk to them. And how did then she sell them on a $20,000?
Because she didn't come with the same limiting belief system that I did.
But what did she come with that sold them into? Right. I mean, that makes no sense.
You want to know the worst part about this whole thing? And she's not getting the recording, so I'll just be real with you. It was a total misfit. She shouldn't have sold them on it. I stopped working with her afterwards because I was very upset about it, and they lost the money. So that was the unfun part of the story that I didn't want to tell you about. Right. But the winning part of the story.
What did she sell them? I mean,
an outcome. An outcome. She sold them an outcome.
What was the outcome different than what you were working with them with to do? Did she just package it differently and tell them something different?
No, it's such a great question. And again, for those of us who have been coaching a longer period of time, you might know this or not. This literally was a client of mine actually called me with this problem yesterday. He had been in the weeds he was doing business coaching. He was in the weeds with a client. And again, he's like a numbers guy, financial, let's go through it. And he had actually grown a client's business had been 3x over, I think it was a year and a half of work together, tremendous value. And he had added probably millions of dollars to this client's bottom line. He brought in a younger guy, not that the youth matters, and the guy asked him very big open-ended questions. He was actually watching me coach, and he saw some of the questions I asked. And this guy said, "Let's avoid the spreadsheets. Let's avoid the numbers. Let's talk about where you want to go." And the client who was on the receiving end of that was like, "Oh my gosh, what do you need the first guy for? I've got this guy out here." The reality is that this guy out here, the young guy, he had no idea how to actually deliver on the things. He sold this shiny outcome of endless potential, endless possibility. So the reality is, and again, this comes down to diet, this comes to relationships, anything, at a certain point, there's going to be a let's get our hands dirty in the business. And if you've been doing that for a while with a client and they know what it's like to go through the personal like learning how to like hold back when you want to like say something bad to your spouse, or they know what it's like to be regimented on your diet every single week and it sucks and you want the ice cream and you're going to go back for more chicken and rice, you could always sell them on something sexy. Like so this woman sold the sizzle, not the steak. And as a result, they found the money for the sizzle. Again, this is why what I'm telling you, it's so effective. You have to know, and that's why I start with the premise of you have to be an expert. You have to be able to be pretty sure that you can get them the results. Make sense? So what she sold them was something that actually didn't work. But because she didn't have the same limiting belief that I did, which is these people can't afford it, she helped them find $20,000 they didn't even think about finding. They found it because they were so addicted to the outcome.
Right. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's the idea, is that really the problems are limiting beliefs. Really the problems are fear of success, fear of the judgment of asking for the money. It's, again, I always come down to this. Everyone wants this sexy, complicated thing that's all going to work. It's always just a mindset and a skill gap. It's never a huge strategy problem. So everyone on this call, and again, I think pretty much all of you already have what you need to get to that 20 to 40,000. Thanks to Marcus, we're kicking him up a little bit, $40,000 a month goal. It's just going to be around execution and fixing the small things and just actually executing versus some cool new system that we haven't thought about yet. Just because I don't do this often, I wanted to walk you guys very quickly through like the kind of work that I do so you can see if this might be a fit for you or potentially someone that you know. And then I wanted to cut and make sure that you guys had all of the questions answered that we talked about from the outset. Again, I focus on the things that will actually work and move the needle. I'm not the only person that ever does this. I'm not guaranteeing that I'm right. I've just been doing this for a long time and I've seen these are the things we actually need. You got to know exactly how to reach out and how to position yourself. You do not want to burn through all of the warm conversation because we're talking about people that actually know you. You want to be effective when you do the reach out. You want to actually be able to show people result. You actually want, when you have that conversation, for it to be able to convert. Again, if you have any trouble with sales, I've had the wonderful merit of working with a gentleman who sold this company for hundreds of millions of dollars. It doesn't mean that he's a great guy. It doesn't mean that he's right all the time. It does mean he's really good at selling. And the one thing that he taught me, or he actually became a client of mine, and he's like, yeah, again, this is the weirdest thing. He's like, Rupp, you're so good at this. He says, it's all about the listening. It's all about the listening. It's all about the questions. It's all about the refinement of the questions, refinement of the offer. How do you match what their problem is to what your solution is going to be? And if you can do that, you can print cash. And if you have the best offer in the world, but you can't align those two things, you're not going to be able to sell it. Make sense? Marcus, you unmuted. Do you have a question, sir?
Yeah, can I have a question right quick? If this diverts you, just ignore me.
Okay, I'm going to ignore you totally. Yeah, absolutely. Just kidding. Go for it.
So one of the things that I have found, the snags from getting one-on-one coaching clients, is that they want a guarantee, but the guarantee depends upon the work they're willing to do.
Yes, sir.
And so how do you bridge that gap? Because if you can't make a guarantee, they may spend however much money, $5,000 a month on you, not get what they're after, but it's not my fault. It's actually their fault.
Awesome.
Because I've already delivered a system to dozens of people who have gotten the result.
Yes.
But I can't guarantee it to them because they may not do the work.
100%. So it's a great question. It is a version, and I'm going to go with it. So remind me to come back to it at the end if possible. The process of effective coaching and sales, we don't actually do guarantee, or the guarantee we do has to follow your particular values or systems so you know it can work. You have to give yourself the best chance of winning. So that's why I actually do have a guarantee in my program, but the guarantee is explicitly that you have to do the work. And I cannot tell you again with the offer that I have, for example, like literally I guarantee it. It's guaranteed, but it's stipulated that you actually have to do the work, and I have to be able to see that you're doing the work. Whatever. It's just very important, I guess, in terms of actual expectations. So Marcus, in the situation that you're in, again, first of all, I have worked with people at very high price points, and they don't necessarily need a guarantee. Usually if they need a guarantee, it's because there's some level of trust that's not dialed in with you. Again, I'm not saying you specifically, but with you, the coach, which again, that goes up more and more the less well you know the person. right? But if you're working with someone that knows you or knows of you or knows people you've worked with, a lot of times they don't need the guarantee because they have trust in the process. Also, if you've done the sales process properly enough, you'll have so well vetted them and they will have so well vetted you that they feel really confident it'll work even without the guarantee. Oftentimes when I hear guarantee, again, I put guarantee in as like icing on the cake or the cherry on top of the whatever you put cherries on, right? But in general, like if I hear someone saying, what's the guarantee? Usually what that means to me is I didn't do a good enough job to create trust in the conversation. Because if you're married, you don't get the guarantee. In fact, you actually get a guarantee that there's a 53 chance that it won't work, right? But hopefully what's happening is that you have enough trust in the person that you're willing to forego said guarantee and not even ask for the guarantee because like you trust them and you're going to go with it, if that makes sense. So I want to totally validate that. If you do the guarantee though, I would say you've got to be very, very upfront. You're a professional. You know what it takes. You cannot guarantee a blank outcome. You've got to guarantee it on condition they do X, Y, and Z. And on the reverse side, if you have people that are offering a guarantee, be very careful to ask what that looks like and make sure you could do it. As I've been in multiple situations where, but you didn't scratch your nose and take a picture on Thursday, which gets you out of the guarantee. Because, yeah, it's just important to be whatever. I don't want to freak anybody out, but it's important. It's important to just get these conversations out and clear. So again, getting clear on how to reach out, how to position yourself, how to listen deeply and refine your offer, how to teach you confidently how to ask for the sale, which is crucial, and then actually getting the clarity and confidence to actually be able to deliver time over time again. Again, we have also a stack of how we work with people. There's curriculum. There is a community. The reason why the community is very valuable is you can actually, again, we talked about refining your process. You're not going to be like just practicing with like the people that actually pay you. So you can get a lot of confidence and accountability. There's group work and then there's one-on-one work with me. So basically what I've built, and again, this is not for you if you're, meaning I would not try to build this into your own coaching practice beginning if you're just launching, but if you want to build something that is actually scalable, this is the exact same framework that everyone is using because it gets clients crazy results. And it allows you to really be able to help a lot of people and get even better results. But again, for those of you that are not yet at 20 to 40,000 a month, which is everyone on this call, don't worry about building a scalable offer yet. Just get really good at getting people to invest $2K a month, $4K a month, whatever it might be. That's going to be what you need initially.
Focus on question.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you're selling something,
yes, ma'am,
and your client's like, has something that they're, that is making them think or they can't move forward from it. If it's more something in their mind, not the money, but something in their mind that you see them kind of going back and forth with, on, I guess it is trust, but I mean, how would you get past that? Because this is coaching. It's not like I'm selling a service that, hey, this is what the fee is for design. This is what the fee is for engineering. This is what the fee is for. So, I mean, you're really kind of selling them, really trusting you to get them.
You're gonna get the full Jacob Rupp client experience just right now. Are you ready? This is literally and it could be good. It could be really annoying for you. I'm just gonna give you what I do with the actual clients. Okay. Can you refine your question in one line and then give me a specific example?
Yeah. If you say, yep, here's what the plan is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make this up, like 2 months at 2 sessions a week, and it's, and then a bunch of other stuff that go along with it, and I'm charging you like $8,500. And they say, I'm not sure, can you really make this happen? Can you really, are you guaranteeing what you're telling me that you can do? If it's dating.
Okay.
If it's a date, if I'm talking to someone about
I'll tighten it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. So what that looks like, is my thing. Can you hear me okay? I'm looking a little jumpy on my screen. I'm panicking. You can hear me clear? Everyone's good?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Okay. What this looks like to me, if you're getting that feedback, is probably you did not create enough trust in the process up until the time when you drop the price. Meaning the price is always, I'm giving you, this is like the free game that I put like inside my actual program, right? The price is always after all of the doubt has been removed. So if you're getting that pushback and you're getting it more than once, again, you can always have crazy things happen once or twice, but if that's a consistent thing that you're getting, I will tell you that you're not creating enough trust in the actual process itself. Does that make sense, Beth Ann? So it's like you shouldn't get that more than 2 or 3 times without going back and refining how you do the offer and how you do the presentation.
So, but I guess what I'm saying then in coaching, well, I mean, what are the tangibles? You know what I mean? It's kind of to me like therapy, even though like I'm new to this and I haven't.
That's exactly what I would work on. Is essentially the idea would be, and again, I will give you more. Like I can do a much more in depth. Hopefully, we'll get the opportunity to work together.
Right.
Essentially, what you want to do. That's exactly why I don't say build an offer right away. A 5-step process to X, Y, and Z. You don't actually know that stuff yet. Really what you're doing is when you start by doing the monthly or the quarterly engagements, which is what I recommend for any new coach, you want to help them through the process of talking to them, define what their best outcome would be in that month. And then you'd be able to figure out reasonably and realistically if you could help them with that. Does that make sense? Okay. Again, this is super low tech, and it's super like it's entrepreneurial. You're developing something as it goes. You're going to be responsive to your client after you've done. Again, the reason why I can do like a make 20K in X amount a month, or make 12K, or make 10K, like I've done it hundreds of times. I know what the expectation is. In the beginning, I'm like, let me help you just grow your business. Make sense? It's only once I've done things at larger numbers that I can be really clear and kind of give a general expectation of where we should be. Make sense? And then again, we'll go back to what Marcus.
Just sell it. Yeah, you're saying just if you're new to go in and approach it just monthly, not
again, if you're dealing with someone, if you're dealing with someone, let's say that is like super quote unquote unmarketable on the dating market, and they are, let's say, physically unattractive, have no style, and are very socially off, right? The idea of like getting 5 to 10 great dates in your first month is probably going to be a little bit of an aggressive approach. Make sense? But if you've got someone that's been in the dating market for 6 years, they are dialed in, they know exactly what they want, they're put together, they're good at the communication, and they just need to, I don't know, have some accountability or work on one particular thing. Could they get 5 potential dates in a month? Like, yeah, absolutely, no problem. But you'll know that based on the conversations you're having and based on your own understanding of your own expertise. Hopefully that's clear. Thank you for asking the question. I'm going to do one more. Let me see, there's one more file, and we'll go to Avi. Again, I just want to say the last thing that I really focus on exclusively to everything else is I just focus on cash flow. Not about how many appointments you have, not about how much you're doing it. What matters is at the end of our engagement, have we made the amount of money you want? The reason why that's so important is you don't want to wind up like me and Marcus did, which is like, hopefully it's like, is this thing making money or not? And that's why, again, I would try. Why is that tangible for you guys? You always want to focus on the best case results for the clients you're working with. That's what you focus on at the exclusion of everything else. No one cares about what color shirt you wear, your process, how many books you've written, if they don't get the results. And if they get the results, that's all they want in the first place. Was there one more screen? Let me just make sure I didn't forget anything. Yes. Book a call. Take time with me. Hopefully, I think some of you already we're supposed to be speaking later this week. And let's get started. I'm very excited. I'm going to close this, and then I'll focus on Avi. And I don't think that'll be all of our time for today. Awesome. Yes, sir. Avi, what do you got?
First of all, just unsolicited. I'd say probably close to a year. It's been 20K consistent months. Thank God.
So what you're saying, it works.
Yes, absolutely.
Love it, man. Thank you.
The question is from I guess I'm more the next phase, going from, let's say, 20 to 40.
Yes, sir.
How often do you recommend changing prices and changing offerings? And also, how do you make that jump from going from what is more comfortable to like that next level?
Okay. Are you guys cool if I kind of step out of the beginner level things? And if obviously we're just going to go with the higher, we're cool with that. No one's going to freak out. And okay, I guess you could always just hang up if you want. Okay. So Avi asked 2 questions. One is, how rapidly are you changing stuff? And the second one is, how do you deal with the discomfort you said of
jumping
changing
to the next level of offerings, going from, let's say, 2 to 4.
Awesome. So the first part, the second part of your question is the first thing you want to work on. You want to normalize success. You want to be working with someone that can do what you're doing at that perspective. You want to surround yourself with people that are doing a lot more than that. So there is an inevitable mental upgrade that you have to go through in order for you to consistently get to that next level. Again, I gave you 2 solutions. A third thing would be also to kind of think about what would be a lifestyle. How would your life change? You can write this down, guys, for anyone that wants to do something. How would your life change once you're making $40,000 a month? The more that you can accompany, again, pick your luxury item. Not that luxury stuff matters at all, but like pick whatever you spend money on, right? The first time you buy either a spouse, girlfriend, or yourself, if you are a $3,000 or $5,000 handbag, that's how much handbags cost. Before that, if you're thinking to yourself, you've never bought it, what in the world is $3,000 for a handbag, right? You start buying watches. How much does a good watch cost? $150? Well, not if you're buying Rolex. A cheap Rolex is $15,000, right? Well, a good size, like the idea would be you have to orient yourself to what is your life going to look like when you're at a certain, again, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to go, once you're making 40 grand, to go spend 40 grand on a Rolex. The idea is you want to accustom yourself and surround yourself with success that looks like where you want to go or that step further. Make sense? Again, you want to get in great shape, go to the gym where, again, it would be very comfortable to go to the gym where everyone kind of looks like you. It'd be very uncomfortable, but very productive to go to the gym where everyone looks like the best version of what you could ever want to achieve. Right? So that's the first. The mental upgrade is going to be crucial. You want to get support. Again, you want to find people. The trainer I was talking about, like, he looks like the bodybuilder guy I want to look like, right? Do I actually need that? It's like, well, I want someone who's actually can get me to that place where he's far beyond what I want to accomplish, which requires the upgrade. The second thing, that's answering your second question first. The first question you asked, which is very, very good, is around how often do you change your offer and like how do you structure it and stuff like that. I'm very data driven. So I would shorten the time horizon. I would give yourself 2 weeks. Can I sell such and such a service? Within the first 2 weeks from right now. So make it a short time window. Figure out, are you able to actually get those offers or be in the ballpark of getting there? And if not, you should probably tweak it. I've had great success with a client who she wanted to charge $2,000 a month. She got in front of 4 people. It didn't work. It rocked her confidence. I said, drop it down to 1,000. She was like offended at me. How dare you, Jacob, say my service is only $250 an hour? How could you, this, that, the other thing, right? She closed 2 people at 1,000. She's like, okay, now I got confidence and she could go and build it again. So it's never really like, you're not like retracting when you lower prices or whatever it is, or overpromise. Get the confidence, get the clients, and then you can usually build and go from there. That's what I would say. But just again, I can't tell you, thank you. Thank you for being here. I can't tell you how many people don't set very deliberate time horizons and then they just kind of stay in the loop forever. And that's usually very difficult. So make whatever time horizon. I want to be at 10K a month. I want to be at 40K a month in the next 3 months. Cool. What has to happen in month 1 for you to make sure you get there by month 3? That's the idea. Thank you. Tony, I didn't get a chance to introduce myself to you. 2 seconds about who you are and what you're up to, and then we'll bounce out of this call, and I'll thank you all very much for being here.
You talking to me?
Yes, sir. Did we talk before? I don't think so, right?
No, I may have been on one of your calls maybe a month ago or something. I can't remember. You look a little familiar. But yeah, I do life money business coaching. I just changed actually business money life coach. I got a couple podcasts, The Millionaire Choice and Get Business Smart. And then I've got a couple books out there doing. I used to work for Dave Ramsey.
Sweet.
I was an executive on his team. I worked for him for about 15 years before I got kicked out.
Awesome.
And then, and then just went on my journey for what I'm doing now. So yeah, I've been messing with the coaching stuff for a little while. I had a few clients a couple of years ago, but they kind of dropped out, 1, 2, 3 months in a row. And I'm like going, why did that happen? Why did I just lose 3 clients in 3 months? And then I was trying to retool. So I'm leaning into it a lot more this year. I think I've got a lot more confidence, got rid of my imposter syndrome.
Sweet.
And just trying to build up this year.
Sweet. All right. I didn't get a chance okay, so I would have wanted to add some more stuff in. I'll reach out to you so I can see if I can help you try to get those 3 or 5 clients back. Everyone else, thank you so much for being here. It was a real pleasure. It was a great small group. I really loved it. Hopefully delivered on like what we were looking for. If not, you know where to find me. I'll put my, John, should we put in the chat? Did you drop my my link here? It's going to be Disruption. Just my website is Disruption with 2 P's because that's my last name.com. And there's a link there to grab a book, a time for us to talk. Here's my phone number. If you want, you can send me a WhatsApp or a text. And I'm very excited, hopefully, to helping you guys reach all of your goals. Thank you for spending the time with me today. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.